All right. Cameras on. This week we are talking about modal auxiliary verbs. What is a verb? What is a verb? Thank you, Kaylin. A verb is an action. It's something that you can do. Okay. So our little gnomes say you must know more about modal auxiliary verbs. My dad loves word plays. He's trying to say it's time to know more about modal auxiliary verbs. Okay, so it's kind of like ironic, gnome or no. I shall use modal auxiliaries as I teach you about them. First, you must know that modal auxiliaries are helping verbs and that they help modify the mood of the main verb. Okay, so modal auxiliaries are helping verbs. They help and they modify the mood. They change the mood. It might be helpful to know that there are 9 common modal auxiliaries. You should have a piece of paper and pencil to write these down. All right. Can, could, will. Would, may, might. And must, shall, should. Those are the 9 most common modal auxiliaries. Can, could, will, would, may, might, must, shall, should. All right. Underline the modal auxiliary in the sentence. Draw an arrow to the main verb it is modifying. All right, so once it's underline the modal auxiliary, then we're going to draw an arrow to the main verb that it is modifying. You may get a quick drink of water, replied Mrs. Deuce. Which one of those words is the modal auxiliary? May. Good. And the verb it is modifying is get. Okay. Remember, they are helping verbs, not the action verb. We've talked about different types of verbs already this year. Linking, helping, and action verbs. Okay, so we're looking at more at the helping verbs. So get, may get. All right, what about everyone must drink plenty of water when working outdoors in the hot weather? What is the modal auxiliary? Must. Good. All right, and what is the verb that it is modifying, that it is helping? Good. Everyone must drink plenty of water when working outdoors in hot weather. You shall send a thank you card to your aunt. Okay, shall. And what is the verb it is modifying? Send. You shall send. Good. Unfortunately, we might arrive late to your party. Might. Good. And what is the verb it's modifying? Arrive. Good. Y'all see a pattern how they're kind of close to each other in the sentence? We should pitch a tent in the backyard. Good. And what is the verb? Pitch. Good. We could sleep in there tonight. Could what? Could sleep. Good. I can play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the piano. What's the modal auxiliary? Can. And what's the verb? Play. Good. I would never assign homework over the weekend if I were a teacher. What's the modal auxiliary? Would. And what is the verb? Assign. Okay. Can you do something that's never? Can you play? Can you play something? Yeah, so play is a verb. Can you never? Does that make sense? No, you can't never. Okay. Can you assign? Yeah, assign is the verb. So it's not always going to be the word right after the modal auxiliary. So it's going to be close, but it's not always going to be the next word. You will apologize to your sister now, Kendra's mom directed. What is the modal auxiliary? Will, and what is the verb it is modifying? Yeah, apologize. Good. I bet you would agree that identifying modal auxiliaries within sentences is quite simple. I agree. Now you must learn how to use them, and this part can be a bit tricky. Don't worry though, my dad is an expert and he will teach you what you need to know. First, we must learn about must. Okay, under your notes, I want you to draw a line and then write must, right? That it shows an obligation. Show an obligation. It must show an obligation. All right, while you're writing, an obligation is something that has to be done. Okay, so you are obligated to come to all your Google Meets because you are a virtual learner. You are a remote learner, so that has to be done. You have to come to your Google Meets. An obligation is you have to eat. You're obligated to eat. You have to eat to live. So must, it can show an obligation. You must wear sunscreen if you're going to the beach, ordered mom. So that's an example of must. It can show an obligation. All right, gonna go to the next one. It can show a strong belief based on logic. So this is still under must. So must can show an obligation, something that has to be done, and it can show a strong belief. So if you feel strongly about something. Well, that's a belief. Not necessarily a strong belief is something that you feel has to happen. Let's see. You must be hungry after hiking all day. It's an example of must. Okay. Yes, Dallas. Something that, so like something that you believe in. So you must be hungry after hiking all day. So after you've been hiking all day, I believe that you will be hungry because you've been using up all your energy and you got to be hungry. Well, it's going to be pretty close to the same thing because it's the same modal auxiliary must. So it's going to have the same meanings, kind of. It's going to make sense. Oh, yep. That's good. That's a good way to put it. You're right. All right. After all of the work you did outside today, you must be exhausted. Does this must indicate an obligation or a strong belief based on logic? Okay. So let's think about after all the work you did outside today, you must be exhausted. Is must an obligation here or is it a belief? If it's an obligation, that means something that you have to do. If it's a strong belief based on logic, it's somebody kind of inferring or guessing. Okay, yeah, it's a strong belief. It's not something that you have to do. Okay, because they're not saying you must do something. It's a strong belief. I must finish my homework before I can go outside. Is this an obligation or a strong belief? Yeah, it's an obligation. I have to finish my homework. So it's an obligation. Good. All right. Next is will. So draw a line and add will to the next one. Will is the next one. Will, it indicates a future action, something that's going to happen in the future. Not in the past, not in the present, not right now, but in the future. Indicates a future action. So you should be writing this down. Okay. It also, I guess that's the only reason. That's the only thing. It indicates a future action. I will bake some of my famous cupcakes for you. So something that I'm going to do in the future. I will ride the roller coaster next time. I will help you after I return this phone call. So it's talking about something that's in the future. It's going to happen. You don't have to write it. Don't write any of this down. These are just examples. All right. Next is shall. Next on the list is shall. So add that to your paper. Shall. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get. I think this may be our last one for today. I'll probably do the rest of them throughout the week this week in reading because I don't think we'll have time to get through all 9 of them. but we will eventually. All right, shall. It also indicates a future action, just like the last one. It also indicates a future action. Okay, shall is a formal version of will. What does it mean for something to be formal? Like when we're talking formally. When would I talk formally? Would I talk formally on like talking to my parents, or would I talk formally talking to the principal? It would be to the principal. Formal is something that you are talking to somebody who is probably okay. Layla, please stop. Thank you. Formal, you're talking to somebody that is probably higher up than you, your boss. Okay, your parents, you probably talk kind of formal to your parents, but when I talk to the principal, I talk to my boss, I talk to her differently than I talk to my parents. Or if you are in the future when you go to college, you're going to talk to your professor or your teacher formally. Okay, so shall is a formal version of will. The diplomat shall arrive in a limousine. So I kind of hear, when I hear the word shall, I kind of think of like British accents when like people who are from the UK who are British. Okay, they talk a lot more formally than we do here in America. So I think of shall. I think for some reason I think of that as in a British accent. We shall return to Paris. We shall depart at precisely 5:00 p.m. All right. I'm going to end that. Hold on just a little bit. Let me get through this because I got 10 more minutes. All right. On another piece of paper, you need to be writing down all of these things for your Famous Alabamian project because we will be presenting next week. So we need to make sure we are getting everything we need to done. So get you a piece of paper that you can use as a checklist. Okay, first thing. The project is going to be due on November the 20th. That is a week from this Friday. So not this Friday, but next Friday. Okay. And your project needs to have these things. You will have your research slides finished. And I met with a bunch of people last week about their Famous Alabamian research, and I talked to them about their slides and their speech. And if you didn't come to that, if you did not sign up for that, then you need to email me and see if we can find a time to meet so that you have everything. Because a lot of people are missing different slides. All right, you need the research slides finished, your speech finished, obviously, because you're going to be saying your speech. You will also need to have your costume on as you say your speech. It is a part of your grade, yes. A costume for your famous Alabamian. Okay, part of your costume is a prop. Okay, a prop is something that's extra added onto your costume. So it's not just something that you wear. So the examples I've been given for prop is like if your person is a singer, you can bring a microphone. If they are a musician, you can bring an instrument. If they're a baseball player, you can have a baseball bat or a helmet or a baseball. Okay. These things do not have to be store-bought. Okay. You don't have to go out and buy this stuff. You can go to your closet and find it, or you can make it. Okay. If you don't have a baseball, you can make a baseball out of something. Yes, Dallas. What do you think? Yeah. David, Joseph? No, it's gotta be a prop. It's gotta be an actual thing. That, or you could just choose one. Okay. All right. All right. We will be. No, you do not have to go out and buy a costume. You can make it, or you can find something in your closet. Nina, I need you to turn your background off, please. All right, we're going to be presenting, saying our speeches, and doing all of that during our writing Google Meet on that Friday. So on November 20th, during our writing Google Meet, we may have to use a little bit of extra time, but we'll be doing it that day, okay? During about that time. So it won't be first thing. You may memorize your speech if you want to memorize it, or you can have it written out or printed out or write it on a piece of paper, and you can read it. Okay, it's up to you if you want to memorize it or you want to print it out and read it. Yes. Then good, you're on track. Okay, I think that's all of the announcements I have for that famous Alabamian project. This is kind of a bigger grade, so we've been spending a lot of time on our speech and our research, so just know that this is not just something small, that this is a pretty large chunk of your grade. So if you've been doing all the parts you're supposed to do and you're confident and you met with me, you should be on track. If not, then you need to be emailing me and coming up with a plan. Okay? All right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Sure. All right. Yes. Anything that's not in the packet, so like iReady, if it's not in the packet, then you have to do it online. That's just for you though. Okay, here's what I need y'all to do. I need everybody to type their name. Okay, but don't leave yet because I need all of the Vincent kids to stay on the Google Meet. Okay, everybody can type their name, and if you are a Vincent kid, you need to stay. Everybody else can go. Yes, Nina. Okay. All right. There, you should be able to now. Yes, Nina. If you're talking, I can't hear you. Give it a second to load. Nina, I can't hear you, babe. You don't have module 8 book? Then you need to go get it from your school.